My name is Andy, and here's your guidance on UDX Sales strategy, which are notes from my grad school. Okay, so first thing that's important is meet the buyers where they are, which means don't communicate in a way where you're always thinking is where is this person in their decision to buy this or not buy this. So if they're very early in their decision, don't talk about price, or in the very least understand where they are. So the three kind of another way of, before even going that far, just there's three types of selling. There's transactional selling, there's consultative selling, and there's enterprise to enterprise selling. So transactional selling, it's like buying a house. Believe it or not, you don't need much of a consultant. Real estate agents aren't really consulting, they're mostly helping with a transaction, or buying deodorant at a grocery store. Transactional, you just look at the price and the brand, maybe. Okay, consultative selling, this is if you are building a house, perhaps. Then you want somebody to actually advise you and feedback. You want somebody who knows how to build houses. So the person you're working with, the consultant, has to understand you. So that's the big difference there. The transaction, you're selling the product, and consultative, you are selling some product later, but you first have to understand how the product fits into the buyer's worldview and problems. And then there's enterprise, enterprise selling, which is when you are essentially merging two organizations together. Now, what UDX does has always been enterprise selling because we are so close with the clients. That's actually a form of enterprise selling and is one of the hardest. So those are the three types of selling. Now, I'm going to jump over, let's see. This is interesting. Differentiation and leverage. Let's see if I can remember this. Basically, like as you sell and more competitors start to sell the same thing, what matters is, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you stay competitive? This is an interesting chart. Basically, the higher the differentiation, the more difficult it is for you to scale your work, unless you have like proprietary intellectual property or automation. And this is perhaps a little bit too advanced. A more interesting one, I think, is this chart, which basically just talking about the buyer's journey, the process everybody goes through. This is looking at it from the buyer's perspective and the seller's perspective. I made this chart. And it adds what kind of content on the website, because there's buyer's perspective, seller's perspective, and then there's the website, which is really, it can be in between. So the content, the educational material, it can, let's say a buyer is, let's say they're just starting out. So the buyer is, they have business drivers. This is like reasons for why the business needs to do something. We need a better website. We need a faster website. We need reliable programmers because we are trying to expand. That's usually starts with that. And for the seller, we have to understand the customer to be able to help at all in that point. Understand what kind of drivers in a particular industry matter. If we know that on our first conversation, we just sound like we understand the customer much better, but we're just familiar with the business drivers. The content that we would create would be articles on the website, which would be not selling anything, really just talking about the business drivers, helping the people understand the problem they're trying to solve. And then, of course, very quickly, we want to identify, as this buyer defines specifically what they need. I need a programmer that knows PHP, right? That's a defined need. That moves them closer and closer to product. So perhaps the product for that is our PHP team, etc. And it moves down this buyer's journey or seller's journey or content journey. So you can see down here, we actually talk about the company, UDX, much later than all the other things. It's really at the very end when they're actually trying to make the purchase. That's when they will actually look at our company. Until then, nobody really cares unless it's in the context of like cases, or the product description.